church people, doctors, that's what they were destined to be. And before they even had a chance to take their first breath, we butchered them and then sold their bodies. That saddens me on every conceivable level.
Well, and what's even sadder, Steve, is the fact that there are abortions where the baby, I'll call it a baby, they'll say it's a fetus, but it'll take its first breath, but they still
Yes.
abort it.
Right. Right.
Yes, that
And yet
well,
they
of
don't
course,
consider it murder. They don't consider it murder. I consider it murder.
there's a reason why you consider it murder, because it is murder. And on many cases, this is murder because, well, it's just not convenient for me to have a child now. We have 4 children. Our first child, we were kind of trying on that one, but the last 2, they were just kind of surprises, or they certainly were to me. and and we sometimes those children came along at inconvenient times, and yet I can't imagine my life without those 4 precious children that have come to mean so much to us.
Mm-hmm.
And in the case of our youngest child, we adopted him because at 10 months old, he was literally left on the steps of the hospital and abandoned by his family. And he was literally thrown away. Well, to be honest with you, and I don't mean this the way it's going to sound, but I'm glad they threw him away because we got him.
Yep.
And what a blessing he has been to our life on every conceivable level.
Right, kind of brings new meaning to the phrase, and forgive me, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yes, you're absolutely right, because he was literally thrown away. We live in a culture where everything is disposable now, so it shouldn't surprise us that we eventually came to a place where we said, well, let's throw away our children, and let's throw away our elderly. Let's throw away those that are severely retarded or that have some severe birth defect. And mark my words, it's not a difficult jump then to say, let's throw away those that don't agree with us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're willing to throw away precious little children, if you're willing to throw away your grandparents, well, then it ought to be really easy to say, let's throw away those folks that don't feel the same way that we do. Let's just throw them away. This just gets bigger and bigger and bigger within our society. And that scares me to death. Truly.
Lack of humanity. Lack of humanity.
So, folks, we're not going to stop on this. We're going to continue to dig. And wow, my hat is off to Lisa for the research that she's done to put this together, because I had no idea for instance, I had no idea about the political action committee that Planned Parenthood had and how big it was. I knew they were giving money to politicians, but I didn't realize that basically it was every Democrat politician out there.
Right. Right. I didn't either.
I mean, even Nancy Pelosi's taking donations. Why?
I
I
don't know.
just I I'm stunned. I'm stunned. And then when you do like we did last week, where you look at the genesis of this organization and the
Hmm.
vile, hateful, racist epithets that were coming out of this Margaret Sanger's mouth.
Yes.
I'm I mean this woman who Hillary Clinton says she admires greatly. This woman was a vile, despicable person. Sorry,
Yes, she was.
that's the way it is.
Yes, she
So
was.
you know, mm. So we're going to continue with this, folks. Don't worry. There'll be more information coming out about this. This is only going to get bigger because now, finally, people are starting to dig into what this organization really is about. And I'm proud to say that the governor of my state in Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson, and many other governors in the state, in the United States, have instructed their state departments of human services to stop funding Planned Parenthood.
Yes, they have. That's right. Well, we have some late breaking news today out of France, Steve, that I'd like to cover real quickly if we could before we go.
Okay.
Um, a gunman opened fire with an automatic weapon on a high-speed train traveling from Amsterdam to Paris this afternoon, wounding 3 people, 2 of them critically. Excuse me. The suspect was arrested after the train stopped in Arras, 115 kilometers north of Paris. Investigators say anti-terror police are leading the investigation. 2 of the victims were in critical condition, according to a statement from the office of President Francois Hollande. The suspect is a 26-year-old Moroccan named Slimane Hamzi. He Now, this is a very brief story out from the AP. In an earlier story I saw on Fox News, the man was overpowered by 2 of our off-duty Marines. And then I found an even more detailed story from the Daily Mail out of the UK that said that the 26-year-old Moroccan national was spotted by 2 of our unarmed off-duty Marines who saw the Moroccan acting suspiciously and heard him trying to arm his weapon in the toilet of the high-speed train between Amsterdam and Paris. And they followed him. And so as he came out of the toilet brandishing the gun and opened fire, the 2 Marines were nearby and they overpowered him before he could massacre the passenger. The suspected terrorist had at least 9 full magazines of ammunition holding almost 300 rounds. He was also carrying a knife. Unfortunately, one of the Marines was shot, although his injuries are not thought to be life-threatening. One of the stories I saw earlier said that he is in critical condition, so I don't know which of those is correct. Still seems to be kind of a fluid situation. The Pentagon spokesman, Commander William Urban, said, "We are aware of the reports and can only confirm that 1 military member was injured in the incident." President Barack Obama praised the courage and quick thinking of the men. So we're very proud of our Marines tonight, and are thankful that they were where they were when they were. And the outcome of this could have been absolutely horrific when you think about
Yes.
the amount of passengers that would have been packed in one of those high-speed trains going from Brussels to Paris, and a man with a Kalashnikov and 300 rounds of ammunition.
Yeah. That would have been a bloodbath.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
so these Marines who were quote off duty, of course, if you talk to a Marine, he will tell you that they are never off duty and
That's right.
they never retire.
That's right. And you can see this Marine in one of the pictures. He's laying between the seats. He's wearing blue jeans and regular shoes, so they are not in uniform. But they saw something and they did something. And man, I'm so proud. I'm so proud of our young men. So proud of
Yes,
them.
yes, and like you said, this is late breaking. It has been happening today. There will be more information as time goes by, because as is always the case, things the information at first is often sketchy and often wrong, and then
Right.
it really develops into the truth. And so there'll be more on this story.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, have you got any good news for us tonight?
I do have some good news for us tonight. I'm going to have to change my computer here just a second to find it, though. Hang on one second here. It seems like that's always the way it happens when we're rushing to do things at the last minute.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, we had a quite a show tonight with everything that we had going on, and Steve being in and out. The story I've got for you tonight is came out of Canada. We've had quite the international show. 17-year-old Malik Bonnet says he doesn't quite think of himself as a hero, but the woman who owes her owes her life to his courage and good judgment would probably disagree. As the Canadian Broadcasting Company news reports, Bonnet was on his way home from work when he noticed a couple arguing at a bus stop. Persuaded that the man might hit the woman, Bonnet approached them. When the man asked Bonnet for money to take a bus to Laval, Quebec, Bonnet noticed how frightened the woman seemed and formulated a plan. He decided to give the money couple for a bus trip and told them he also lived in Laval and would travel with them. My plan was to keep them in a public place where there's lots of people, he told CBC News. I decided to make myself friendly with the man so he would trust me, so I played the game. As he rode with the couple to Laval, making friendly conversation with the man and waiting for the right opportunity to call police, Bonnet had no way of knowing that the police were already searching for the couple. The man was an ex-boyfriend who had already assaulted and made death threats against the young woman. We were looking for a 29-year-old woman who was kidnapped by her former boyfriend earlier that day, and we believed that man was very dangerous, said Lieutenant Daniel Guerin of the Laval police. Unfortunately, Bonnet's cell phone died, and he needed to find a way to make contact with the authorities. After they arrived in Laval, Bonnet offered to buy the couple a meal and even gave them $50 for food. While in the restaurant, Bonnet pretended to go to the bathroom and used another customer's cell phone to call the police. The Laval police arrived minutes later and arrested the kidnapper, who hadn't even realized that it was Bonnet who turned him in. He was really surprised. He didn't know it was me. He said though he's not really worried about his own safety, he was commended by the Laval police for his good deeds. He said his heroism has made him a bit of a celebrity, but it's fitting that his mother is his biggest fan. My mom's so proud of me. She brought like 8 journals. She's like, I'm going to show them to your kids one day. What a great boy.
Well, folks,
and what a quick thinker.
That's right. And folks, that's our show for tonight. Let me leave you with this thought. If you see something, do something. Good night, and thanks for being a part of our show. We'll see you next week. Brother Deloach approaches to Steve Deloach saying good night and God bless.
Good night.